Okay, so Anna and I are talking about how the coordinates of the Pyramid of Giza are the same as the speed of light. And I'm talking about how this is either a remarkable coincidence or time travelers, because it must be from a civilization that has already experienced our reality and knows about our arbitrary units of measure. Like the units of measure we use for time travel, or the units of measure we use for coordinate systems and for the speed of light are pretty arbitrary. It could have been just about anything, but we chose them, and now they're perfectly aligned. And coincidence or time travelers? But if that means that a future civilization were to experience our reality, know our coordinate systems, then go back in time to build the pyramid on a separate timeline in alternate reality. This would introduce time loops, which gets even more complicated.
This wouldn't mean that there is no time travel if you go into a parallel version of Earth. That doesn't mean you go back in time. It just means you go to a parallel version of Earth where it is
A
that
parallel
time.
version of Earth, where building the pyramids did not change the future in any way, unless the time travelers also wrote the measurements. So
That's why I was saying, what if the measurements
came from the time travelers.
came from somebody? They shared it, and they share it in different time.
But that would mean the time travelers are here now, like they still exist, because the origin of our units of measure are like widely understood.
But why wouldn't they still exist if we're talking about parallel versions of Earth?
That would mean that there are
They
people
always
alive
exist.
today who are either time travelers or descendants of time travelers.
Correct. And you're saying the whole Bashar story is sci-fi. It's not.
Well, I was saying, because Anna is a follower of this guy Bashar, who is what is it called?
He's
A channel.
well, Daryl Anka is the channel.
Okay, he
Bashar.
channels an alien called Bashar, and Anna posts about this guy, and you might wonder like, what? And that was my response too when I first saw it. But he channels an alien. Now Anna believes he's really doing this. I think he's just a very good actor, but I love Anna, and whatever kind of idea she wishes to entertain, that's okay. But she says it's probably real.
Well, if you're talking about if you're talking about a sort of future human, and this whole thing that you're talking about is not less or more likely than an extraterrestrial. So it's not getting any crazier or less crazy, so it's equally insane what we're talking about. But if we're talking about a future human time traveler from a parallel Earth, this is very similar to the Bashar story, because actually the civilization that Daryl Anka is talking about is not extraterrestrial. It is a parallel version of Earth, and it is like an advanced. It is a human species from the future.
Is that what it is?
Bashar is an extraterrestrial hybrid. It is a future version of human.
Oh, I didn't
Very
realize that. I
advanced
didn't realize that.
Yes, and what's so
Okay. Well, I truly believe. I do believe in that theory.
yeah,
I just think he's an actor. That's all. Because Anna says, well, he's so good at it, and I'm like,
no, I'm not saying he's so good at it.
I'm like, I could do it.
Based on
Like,
that,
I could pretend to be an alien. I think
everyone can act, but what I'm saying is that how he explains things and what he says and the detail with which he explains the things is very similar to my own personal experience that I can't deny. And so,
Okay.
at some point,
Okay. I didn't realize that Bashar is a future human. I didn't realize
Bashar
that.
is from a civilization called Sasani, so that's the name basically. But it is a future version of humans, like far, far, far in the future. Like, I
Oh,
don't
is
know
it
how many
Earth
hundreds-
or is it some other planet or something?
Humanity destroyed itself, and they could not breed anymore.
Okay.
And they turned into whatever the civilization is right now, or became later right now. Like it was constantly evolving. So it basically humanity destroyed its own ability to breed and basically destroyed Earth. And this hyper future version of them that still exists in it's like a hybrid version now, or it mutated, came back into a parallel version of Earth where humanity is still there to basically assist and help it from happening again. And this is why so many people experience like abductions from Greys, because that's what they look like. They are mutated humans. The Greys are mutated humans.
Interesting.
And humans who experience abduction stories through Greys are oftentimes terrified. They talk about how things were taken from their body. But what is actually happening is that these Greys, specifically this kind of Grey, is just not extremely empathetic, because this is how humanity evolved. So they don't have the skill to explain very well to you what is happening.
This is a better view.
And so they are taking genetic material from humans to help with this entire process, kind of, to
interesting.
Yeah, to intervene with human development to prevent this all from happening again.
Okay, so this idea of future humans able to contact the past, that is okay within my optimum theory. And like Optimum College, and I got this optimum theory. And to be clear, it is theory, which means that you can talk trash about it, you can try and prove it wrong. I don't care. This isn't a cult. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you can't be my friend because you don't believe in the theory. I don't care. I literally believe, like, the optimum theory, I literally believe it's true. Okay, which means there's no faith involved. It's entirely logic, okay? Which means if you can disprove the logic, I would actually be happy. I would love it if someone could disprove the logic. And the theory is also very weird. It is a shift of the Overton window and a paradigm shift. The idea is, among other things, that the universe is an infinite fractal. Okay, I really believe this. I believe the universe is an infinite fractal. That atoms are essentially galaxies, if not exactly galaxies, in an infinitely repeating universe. And if you go and I'll get to how this relates to aliens and stuff. But if you go to an AI like Gemini or GPT or whatever, and you ask it about this, it'll say, that's not science, no one believes that, blah, blah, blah. And then you say, run the math, okay? Run the math. Just humor me a little bit and imagine the universe actually is a fractal. Atoms are galaxies, which would mean that everything's happening faster in an atom because causality is limited by light speed. So as you're getting smaller and you've got infinitely continuously small scale, you have to speed up time itself, because time itself is just a measure of causality, and things are smaller. It's like less latency the smaller you go. And get the AI to do the calculations and it will be like, oh wow, yeah, you're right. Like, the calculations perfectly line up. An electron is a star. It is rotating around the center, the nucleus, the black hole center of the atom at quintillions of times per second, and it's doing this because time is actually sped up the deeper you go. Similarly, it's slower the bigger you get. We actually understand this intuitively. We understand this concept so intuitively that if you watch a Marvel movie like Ant-Man gets big, and what happens when Ant-Man gets big? He slows down, and when he gets small, everything speeds up, right? We understand this concept intuitively.
This comes from the same man who tried to slow down mouse speak to hear if
true.
the mouse is talking like we do.
Yeah, I record because I was listening to mice squeak, and I was like, maybe they're actually enunciating, and we just don't realize it because it's so fast. So I slowed down. It still squeaks. It's just very slow squeaks. It's a squeak. It's a squeak language. Okay, so how does this relate to aliens? Okay, I truly believe the universe is an infinite fractal universe, which means that within every drop of water, within every rock, within the very tissue of your brain itself, there are more galaxies than in our observable universe. One drop of water contains more galaxies. Oh crap! Oh gosh! Look at this. We're talking. I should pay attention. Oh my goodness.
Oh, sorry, baby.
Sorry guys. Look how unflappable they are. Sorry guys.
Look, one still hasn't moved.
That one still hasn't moved. We were walking right into the seals.
Yeah, and they were like, hey, bro.
Hey, bro. So, the point is,
See you later.
seal you later.
See you later, meow meow.
The point is that there are more, if an atom is truly a galaxy, sped up in time, which would imply a lot. For example, I don't believe in the Big Bang. And I can go deep into this. You know, you don't understand the science. I do understand the science. And I can go deep into this. And it's not as crazy as you might think, okay? Redshift is simply energy loss to the infinite depth of our superfluid fractal-like reality. And CMB, cosmic microwave background, is simply bounce back radiation from that depth. And again, run these calculations, have an AI do it. And it'll be like, at first it'll be like, that's not the science, no one believes that. Have it run the calculations, like, wow, it actually lines up. It does line up. And the point is that within every drop of water, within every cell of your being, there are more galaxies than in our observable universe. And not only that, but they are operating at incomprehensible speeds compared to us.
And the craziest part would be that within these galaxies would be also galaxies again. And
inward and inward forever. And it
Yeah.
speeds up. Every scale below, it speeds up by a factor that is incomprehensible to us. I believe a galaxy is actually essentially eternal. The spiral of a galaxy is essentially eternal, even while stars themselves live and die. I think this universe has been here forever. Forever. Time is just a human construct. It doesn't even time doesn't even exist.
You couldn't even say it existed here forever because it just is like this.
Time, from the universe's perspective, time doesn't exist. All that exists is now, an infinite now. Time is something that we derive from this infinite now. It's a bookkeeping device of our brain. So to even speak of a beginning and ending is the human ego projecting its own mortality onto the infinite. Now, how does this relate to aliens? Within every cell of our brain, within every drop of water, there are countless, and if you believe aliens are real and life is inevitable, it's a chemical process, which I do, as crazy as it might sound, I'm a hard materialist, like very science-minded, logic, math, all that stuff. If you believe life is inevitable, it's an inevitable
Don't run. I'm enjoying.
If you believe that life is an inevitable consequence of chemical reactions, that means that every single drop of water around us, every single cell of our being, is harboring countless alien civilizations that are advancing through time at quintillions our speed. Like for every second of our time, they are experiencing a quintillion years. Now imagine, what will human civilization accomplish in a quintillion years? If we extrapolate into the future, if we imagine we're building rockets, we're going to colonize, we will be colonizing galaxies, right? We're going to be colonizing galaxies in the next 1,000 years. How many galaxies will we have colonized in a quintillion years? Will we have colonized the entire observable universe? And then what? Could we then start to affect the scales above our own? Could we then start to infiltrate the scale above us?
Just to finish your thought on aliens and how, right, then an alien life form, you would also find it within the galaxy contained in a rock from Earth.
Yeah.
In every galaxy.
They're everywhere.
What I mean when I say alien, and I think that many people mean it, is the term processed through our human ego. It's like the concept of time. It's like what we think an alien is, because there is truly nothing alien about anything. Nothing is alien, and even someone from another planet would technically not be alien because it's also all part of the same system.
Of the same system.
Correct.
The universe is one being.
Alien is the term for us to understand, it comes from somewhere else. And
Yes.
it's, as I said, filtered through the human ego. When I talk about aliens, I do not talk about something paranormal, crazy, that shouldn't be here, that is truly alien. Like, I think it is basically, what I mean by that is a life form that we are currently unfamiliar with. And we would also find thousands of life forms on Earth right now that we are unfamiliar with. So
Yes.
I do not perceive alien life forms as alien. I don't think of it like that, but unfortunately I have to communicate to humans
It's
and I
just
have to explain what I mean.
aliens are just another expression of the living universe.
Right.
Like I've got songs in this game, Optimum, MetaQuest 3, like the universe come alive. I really believe that. We are the universe come alive. There's lots of concepts in the game where I'm like smuggling in actual beliefs of like the infinite fractal universe and stuff like that. I'm smuggling in these beliefs into the game. Yeah, I am.
It's not exactly smuggling if you're saying it's 20%.
Right, but it's fine. It's like George Orwell.
Yeah.
George Orwell, he wrote this science fiction book, 1984, but really he was like smuggling in his own beliefs and thoughts and ideas. Yeah, it was a way for him to record his own thoughts and totalitarianism and surveillance and all this stuff.
I would say it's not quite subtle. It's more like, the exhibitionist or like these people who take the clothes off directly in front of the cat. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. But it gives a kind of plausible deniability. And George Orwell is actually not his real name. It was a pseudonym.
Fiction.
Yeah, and he was so paranoid, or what you will, that it wasn't even his
I'm
full
just
name.
a content creator. I don't really believe in aliens.
Yeah, right.
Bullshit.
Yeah. But somebody has to come out and say, like, listen, it's okay to be a little nuts. All right, we're a little nuts here. It's okay.
Yeah, I think it's weird if someone isn't weird.
Yeah, it's weird if there's no such thing as normal.
Yeah.
These walls are all clay, which is kind of cool. So that's all clay. And we were looking it up and like, what is clay? Like clay is in like pottery clay. And we were like, it's just really, really old sand.
Gary was looking it up. I
Yeah.
already knew what it was.
So imagine how long it took to make the sand on the beach, right? Because the water had to grind down the rocks to make sand. Imagine the water just keeps on grinding it down, so it's even smaller and smaller. That's what clay is. It's like atomized sand. Yeah.
Yeah, super fine, super old sand.
So maybe the Earth itself is way older than we think it is, but I don't know.
Yeah, even if it wouldn't really matter, because again, it's just important for us to validate our own narrative and story, to know the exact dates and the exact things and how and time and timelines most of all.
Mm-hmm.
But I really love the concept of a fractal, and it feels really on point.
Yeah. Yeah. There's very little research into dynamic
But
fractals.
then I don't understand what your deal is, or why it's so hard for you to believe that there is life outside of Earth.
As far as like Daryl Anka?
For
Because I
example,
know that it is more likely that he's an actor and he works in Hollywood. Isn't he like a cameraman? He works in Hollywood.
film producer.
Yeah. So it's more likely to me that he's just a very good actor. And I
Why
do
would-
believe he's got a good heart and he's a genuine guy and stuff. And the things he says in alien form as
No, but
as
I don't,
Bashar are actually very good and wholesome.
I don't mean, yeah, but I don't mean it. It wouldn't need to be tied to his particular story or what he represents. He's not the only person talking. Oh, he said hello. Yeah, he's not the only person talking about it, and there is like a general concept besides individuals presenting the concept. So you are in general very skeptical, and I'm wondering why this is, because obviously you realize that Earth is not the only
Well,
place that
Did,
is
yeah,
offering.
did I tell you that I'm a graduate of New York Film Academy at Princeton?
I think so.
Yeah, when I was 16, I took a summer acting class at the New York Film Academy at Princeton. And like I'm a decent actor. I could do it, like for sure. If you wanted me,
But I just asked
yeah.
you a question that's unrelated to what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm asking you.
No, it's
what-
possible.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so too. But usually you are critical of the concept, not of the people. Because who cares if his particular story is real or not? Because we could argue about it all day, every day. Because
Yeah.
at this point, it's a belief. Do you believe it or not? And as I told you already, I don't have to believe it because I have evidence and experience from my personal life. So talking about belief feels like going a few steps
Okay.
backward.
Okay.
However, it's okay if others don't believe it. That's totally fine with me.
Okay.
It's just that
The brain is very
this,
complicated.
outside of this, um, outside of this conversation where we talk about people in particular, there is the concept in itself. And here, like, you're like overall usually critical of it. So that's why I'm asking why.
I think there's a lot of incentive to storytell. Yeah.
So just because it is basically soil for stories that could go in any direction,
Yeah, there's a lot of incentive to
invent shit.
invent shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But this doesn't this doesn't mean that
It doesn't
shit
mean
shit
that
is
it's,
real or isn't real.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like sailors had stories about giant monsters taking down their boats, and probably a lot of that was nonsense. But we would come to find out that giant squids are real and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's stories about like the mermaids or harpies or whatever. Those turned out to be probably false.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely aliens out there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even a fossil of a bacteria in outer space would already be proof of life.
Yeah.
What people are, I think, basically arguing over is there intelligent life? But at this point, I would probably argue that I'm not sure if humanity is the
Humanity's
most
intelligent. Yeah.
not that it's not, but that it's the most intelligent on Earth, even.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
who says that a small organism that looks like bacteria wouldn't be actually more intelligent than we are right now, right here, right now?
Right.
So,
Did you see the video of the ants that were manipulating the T squared? There's a shape. They did an experiment. Okay, they had food in the shape of a T for the ants, and the only way to bring the food back to the nest was to navigate a maze. So the ants had to work together to move a T-shaped food pellet through a maze. Now, this might seem pretty straightforward, but it's not, because there's certain parts in the maze where you have to go backwards. You have to actually go backwards to go forwards. It takes a higher thought. You can't just go forward through the maze. You have to manipulate this shape, and they're filming it from a top-down perspective of the ants manipulating this. And the moves the ants make.
they're going.
Yes.
Like when you park your car.
Yes, exactly. The moves the ants make, there's no possible way that...
I have a theory on ants, okay?
Can I just finish the thought? Okay, there's no possible way that any individual ant would be able to see the whole shape of the maze or the food pellet, because it's a very big food pellet and they're very tiny ants. The only way that this is possible is through some kind of collective intelligence. It's like hive mind intelligence.
Yeah, I have a theory on ants from observing them, because we live in the middle of the forest, so I see ants every day, basically. And, I'm tired of. I have a theory.
We just missed a seal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a theory. It could be bunnies. No. So my theory is that ants are basically like self-driving cars.
Okay.
Or that they are like bodies, but they have you could say an overall intelligence or overall consciousness that's moving them. I think that they are like vessels. Vessel is the right word. They're like mini vessels, and someone is controlling them, or
Hive
something.
mind intelligence, collective intelligence.
Something like that. Maybe it's their queen. Maybe it's all of them together.
Well,
Maybe
it's like they are neurons in a bigger brain.
Yeah. They have an over ant. So
Yes.
they are ants.
Yes, they are the neuron.
They are ants
It's
with
like
bodies.
it's like if you it's exactly if you zoom in on the brain and you look at the neurons of the brain. Okay, where does Gary or Anna begin, and where does the neuron end, and where does where does the neuron end and the Gary or Anna begin? So if you in the space between the ants might appear empty, but it's actually filled with electromagnetic energy and pheromones and chemical signatures. So they might be communicating in a way very much like the neurons of a brain.
Yes, it just looks so different to us, because we have to relate everything to ourselves, and we think, oh, as humans we act like this, and everyone thinks for themselves, so ants must be doing the same. But I think it's something like what you just said, and I also think that they are probably in some form a little bit more advanced than we are, because they have their bodies, right? And
Yeah.
they have the overall consciousness, the end consciousness,
Yeah.
or let's call it like that for now. And it can different bodies and make them do what they are supposed to do in order for end consciousness to sustain itself. So, and now I think that this can happen with
Yeah.
humans too. If humans become more intelligent, means
Yeah.
that we are less focused on me, and what do I need, and my thinking, and who am I in this world, blah, 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 which is the cause of so much trouble, right?
Yes.
And what happens, for example, with with people who love to meditate, like for real, they will just let go and they will open themselves up to new information. So people have insights, spiritual insights. People suddenly know shit. They don't know shit like from some magical source. It's just they let the intelligence of their own consciousness
Yes.
go through them.
It's very possible.
And I think when people just chill out more and
Yes.
forget who they are from time to time, like just forget who you are, like what's your name, what's your identity, what's your gender, just forget who you are for 2 minutes, at least a day, and then
Yeah.
the shit starts flowing
Just let the
through
universe
you.
flow through you. It's like we were talking about in the car, how the collective intelligence is very strong. If you have a jar full of Skittles, okay, like thousands of Skittles in a jar, and you get 100 people together and you ask them all to guess how many Skittles are in the jar, no one's going to get the right answer. But if you average all their guesses, it's almost exactly the right answer. That's collective intelligence. It's why democracy is such a powerful idea, and why centralized civilizations where they authoritarian and they think they know better than the collective, they're wrong. People always say the collective is very stupid. No, the collective is very smart.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't want to get political. I don't know how smart that would be to get very political, but authoritarianism, it's like building a house upside down on the steeple of its roof, and you should be building it up from the bricks.
Yeah, you let the idiot decide. Like,
Yeah.
why? Because like one person alone is always dumber. It's always like
Yes.
because it's always self-interest. There's always some idea. There's always some flaws in it because everyone can do mistakes. Even if we think that we have someone intelligent
Yeah.
leading the country, which we don't. But even if we did, sorry. But even if we did, there is room for flaws, for errors, for just some mistakes in your logic. This shit just happens. So the most intelligent person will not be able to take everything into account.
No, there's a reason why we have terms such as the invisible hand of the economy.
Everything is teamwork, and it's supposed
Yeah.
to be teamwork. And other animals have figured that out way better.
Yes. And I've tweeted before about how even army ants figured out they can put their able body to use building as well as destroying. It's like a military can be used for construction as well as destruction. And China's figured that out. China's figured out that you can take your military-age men and like militarize them towards the construction of the nation. We haven't figured that out in the West yet, but hopefully we will. China's a much older civilization than the Western world. So it's like, are ants smarter than people? I've kind of tweeted and implied that. You know, I try not to be too abrasive, but it's like, are we smarter than ants? Because
I legitimately think animals are smarter than people in the things that they have to be smart at.
Yeah.
At the things they have to be smart at. So it means we are good at many things somehow, but we are not perfect at them. Animals are perfect at exactly the things they have to do. They are the best at that. They are the best specialists at whatever they have to do. We are a little bit good at this, a little bit good at that, but we are not perfect. And in that sense, we can learn a lot from them. And if we want to be very good specialists, even though I'm not sure if that's what we are supposed to do, but if we want to be good specialists, we have to become more human, whatever this means. And I think we can only learn what it means if we shut the fuck up and relax into infinite intelligence that is supposed to flow through our exact brain.
Yeah. I think we should lean into this kind of decentralized sovereign mindset. So I've got this idea called the 1% plan. And the idea is that if you take 1% of all transactions that occur in the United States and distribute it equally amongst every American adult, It's approximately $100,000 per year. You might think that's how is that even possible? Because the GDP of the United States is 32 trillion dollars, and you're like, but isn't like, $100,000 per American adult is like almost 32 trillion. It's like 20 trillion or something like that. So how is this possible, Gary? Here's the thing that no one ever. I had to discover this on my own. No one ever taught me this. I just. But you can look up what I'm saying and validate anything I'm saying. As always, if you think I'm wrong, go for it. Try and prove me wrong. The number of monetary transactions that occur in the United States every single year, I'm talking every kind of monetary transaction, every kind of stock trade, every kind of business-to-business transaction, anytime money changes hands, period, in the United States, it's approximately 2.5. The number's so big that I'm trying to even remember it. Is it quintillion? Quintillion? Quintillions. Yeah, we're so unfamiliar with the number that we don't even know how to say it sometimes. Quintillions. It's not quadrillion. Quintillion. Was it quadrillion or quintillion? It's the one after. It's the one after a trillion. Okay, it's approximately 2.5 quintillion. And you might think there's no possible. Yes, go look it up. This isn't conspiracy. It's fact. It's approximately 2.5 quintillion. Go to your AI. Say, what is the total monetary transactions, every and all transactions in the United States? Point is that money flows through the economy like how blood flows through a body. And if you were to measure the blood volume of the human body, it'd be approximately 5 liters, right? But the body pumps 2,000 gallons per day, and it's the same with money, where the volume of goods produced is 32 trillion. But as far as the actual transaction, it's 2.5 quintillion. So take 1% of that, put a 1% tax on every transaction, we could end poverty. It's a choice, and it would free up everybody to be their own sovereign. And then we could see the collective intelligence at work. It wouldn't be centrally planned. We would see new structures of civilization build up that we would not predict, but we would put our trust into the collective as a whole. And I truly believe that is the only, and I'm probably going to start talking more about this, because I truly believe this is the only way to save our civilization. Why do I say this? Because if you take the human body, if you imagine the civilization is like a body, the body is comprised of cells, right? Every single cell of the body receives nutrients in the form of oxygenated blood and ADP and all this stuff, regardless of if they're awake or at rest. We have organs of the body that we only use at certain times, but even when they're resting, they receive nutrients. Now, our civilization is the opposite. It's left to rot. It's left to decay. A body that doesn't pump nutrients through every cell, it will decay. It will die. And throughout the entire span of human history, no civilization has been lasting, because no civilization has figured out that you must water your garden, you must oxygenate your blood, you must provide nutrients to your cells.
Yeah, I think no civilization, to my knowledge, hasn't figured out yet how to attach the value of something like money, right? Which we need to basically have a common understanding of value internationally. So how to attach the value of money to something that actually makes sense. Because what was the problem in the past? We would attach it to something, but we would try to determine what is valuable, and we would determine that the most valuable thing is something that needs to be rare. So we had the gold standard, right?
Yeah.
So we had the gold standard for a long time because it happens to be rare and functional. So we need gold for engineering, for building shit, but it's also rare.
It's malleable, you can slice it in little thin, and it doesn't deteriorate.
But it is actually super stupid. We have it backwards here again, because actually nobody says that we have to attach the value of something to the rarest things on the planet. We can just also attach it to our workers, to ourselves,
ourselves. Yes.
And this would make way more sense. So we haven't yet figured out a way.
Humanity itself should be the backing of its currency.
Of course.
Yeah.
And this is like the most logical thing to do.
The most logical.
Because we need currency, or currently that's how we operate. We need something in between nations that works for all nations globally, worldwide.
Yes.
Because let's say we have a lot of wood, some other country has a lot of something else, and we have to trade stuff, and for that we need something neutral in between, which happens to be currency, but it does not need to be attached to something limiting, to something that where we create a false limitation around it.
Right.
So why don't we attach it to our
ourselves?
own goal?
To ourselves.
That's the most transparent thing to do.
Yes, exactly. And because we don't attach value to ourselves.
Right.
People ask, why is the birth rate collapsing in the Western world? Do you want me to tell you why the birth rate is collapsing? There's debate about this. I'll end the debate right now. Okay? Imagine there's an employer looking at two prospective employees. One employee has a family they have to raise. One employee doesn't. Which employee can charge less for their services? The employee that doesn't, the single one. And so capitalism, which is do or die, you either get fed or you live on the street. Capitalism optimizes for no children because it's more efficient. Capitalism does not care about children. Debate over. We are optimizing out of children because capitalism is a pure efficiency system.
Right.
It doesn't care about children, especially now that we have AI and robotics. In fact, you've got companies like Meta and Oracle and others who their stock goes up when they lay off workers. They benefit from laying off workers.
They benefit when people leave. They benefit if
Yes.
people fuck up and fail and die and whatever.
Yes.
Sorry for being so negative, but it's true.
Yes, and we were talking about in the car, and
I don't want to leave yet.
okay, we were talking about in the car about how there are people, evil forces at work. Let's just
They're
not.
not evil forces, they're clowns and idiots. And
Let's just be careful here. There are forces at work that one can imagine that within the dark recesses of their mind, they're thinking, our value would actually go up if we were to lose a few million, tens of millions of people in the world. Too many people in the world. Let's
too many complaining people. We have to feed too many people. They need health insurance, they need food,
they need food, they need social security, they need Medicaid. Wouldn't it be so convenient if there were some kind of global conflict to get rid of a few tens of hundreds or even hundreds of millions of people?
Also, the other thing is we depend on them voting for us, but we depend on their, on how they think about us. So we depend on the mood in the room, basically, of these very people who are just an obstacle currently, and they don't provide value to our biggest companies anymore.
Yes.
And if they buy our products or not, we don't even give a shit.
We don't
anymore.
even care. Because think about it, if Meta, Oracle, these companies' stock value goes up when they get rid of employees, and if you think of a nation as like a giant company, what happens to their stock and their twisted minds if they think we can get rid of people? Our stock value as a nation will go up in this world we're creating of artificial intelligence and AI. Exactly. Be on the lookout for that. Be smart.
I think it gets terrifying, or we have to look out for the situation when suddenly we, as humans, cannot provide value to the market anymore. Means if it really gets entirely unimportant whether we buy a product or not, because we are not at this point yet. For now, it's still important to throw the rest of the money that we have into the machine, but at some point it won't be interesting enough anymore, because for everything will be provided through AI and robotics, and I'm not saying I'm against it.
I truly believe the only path forward is this 1% plan, and I might be very adamant about this moving forward. The only way forward is to tie the currency to ourselves, to revalue our economy around people.
Yep.
We are all shareholders of this collective civilization.
And we have to be. It's our planet.
It's our planet.
It's our planet, and we have to reclaim it because
Yes.
currently it's out of control.
Out of control. This isn't. This is beautiful.
This is beautiful and it's ours, and we shouldn't forget about that, okay? We should not forget about how this is all ours in some sense. We own it, but
Yes.
we have a right to be here.
Yes, exactly.
We have to be here, and currently I just don't want to call anything evil forces because on the one hand we have to.
Right. It's very simple. That's a simple way of saying
We
things.
have to name the bad shit, to own the bad shit, and to change the bad shit. But I just don't want to make it sound scarier and more terrifying and darker than it is, because what it really is just people with the mindset of 12-year-olds who are out of control. And we have to act like the adults right now, and we have to come up with something that actually works and is sustainable for our environment and for us, because they won't, because they are literally children.
Yeah, and one of the deepest truths of like this optimum theory I have is the universe is fundamentally an optimization system. That's why it's called optimum theory. The universe is a perfect fluid that is trying to reach equilibrium, and it's incapable of doing so because it's infinite. It is a fluid that is incapable of reaching equilibrium, and this creates these infinite eddies and currents that we think of as electromagnetism and these four fundamental forces that are constantly acting on each other, trying to reach an equilibrium that they will never reach. Will never reach equilibrium. So these, when I say evil forces, this is a very human perspective. You know, we're human beings. We see things in very human terms, evil, good, and stuff like that. The universe has no concept of evil and good. It's just a self-optimizing system.
It's poorly behaved kids. I want to name it like that because when we say it's evil forces, what we do is we put it above us. We are making it look so big and powerful, but it really isn't. It's poorly behaved kids who stopped their emotional and cognitive development very early in their lives, or else they would give a shit, and they don't. And this just shows immaturity. It shows how immature these people are. They're literally kids in old men's bodies. And they should not have any decision. It should not be up to them what's happening. It should be up to the people who have done some inner work.
No. So I was thinking, like, how do we implement this 1% plan?
Yeah,
we need help, but we don't need the government. We can do it ourselves. We can build communities of companies and collectives that just share with each other.
The mentally 12-year-olds.
And so I was wondering if there's some kind of way to create like a payment processing, like stable coin or something, where the money is on the coin, and anytime you use it, it's distributed to every other verified human being on the network. I think this would work. It would be definitely something for like Claude to figure out, you know, like how Claude can like create codes and stuff like that, and like apps.
Yeah, but maybe also some retired finance people who understand how shit works can
and who cares deeply about the success of the humanity. Honestly, like I really believe this could all be lost. Like everything humanity has built, all the stories of our ancestors, all of our art, all of our ideas. It's not. Don't take it for granted. It could all disappear.
It already did probably a few times because of
possibly, and when people talk about wiping out civilizations, right? Let's not name names or anything, but like, imagine someone were to say, "Let's wipe out a civilization overnight." Think about it. This isn't funny. This isn't a joke. This isn't a game.
That sounds like a tantrum, and if I would send this person to their room and not give them dinner.
This sounds like a metastasizing cancer within our
Although this
species.
is probably the very behavior that caused this tantrum in the first place, but bro needs a hug.
Yeah, there is so much resource, so much, and this idea like we have to wipe out civilization, nonsense. There is enough resource for everybody. Even like Adam was saying, even children know how to share. Really. And even a pack of wolves know how to share. A pack of wolves share. Even ants know how to share. Even bees know how to share with each other.
There is something out of control right now.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the most mature people, the people who actually know how to share, who do care, they don't dare to take up space and to take the responsibility and to take over. We have to take over.
We have to take over the world.
We have to take over the world.
We do. Yeah. No, Gary, you just don't want to work. Look at the things I've done. Okay, I've made the first classic fighting game for VR. The game I made in VR is better than anything produced by Meta and their billions of dollars spent on the metaverse. I had zero budget in my free time. The first game I've ever made. I don't even have a background in computer science, and I made a better product than Meta with tens of billions of dollars and teams of thousands. Why is that? There's something deeply wrong with our civilization. Anna likes to call this conspiracy talk when I go off like this, but it seems like the stock market might not be what we think it is. It's a make-work project where the government prints free money, it launders it through the stock market. Why does innovation end when a company goes public? How is it possible that I, as one person without any background in game dev or programming, made a better game than Meta in their metaverse with tens of billions of dollars? There's something wrong with this. We need to lean into sovereignty. It was my sovereign mindset that allowed for that. We need to free minds. We need to free civilization. We need to free our species and our people. We need to take over the world.
World takeover.
World takeover.
Say bye-bye, I want to snuffle.
Okay.